the folks that I read his book, William, but Barr, One Damn Thing. So this is William Barr. He's been the United States Attorney General for 2 presidents, including most recently for Trump. And he was the one trying to restrain Trump from doing all kinds of things. He's just been interviewed because this book basically trashes Trump. The one damn thing after another refers to Trump's behaviors and his policies and so on. And he, as the Attorney General, was the one trying to rescue the administration from the dumb things that Trump was trying to do. So he was the rein holding Trump back, basically, and ended up quitting. Well, he was fired, actually. Trump fired him because he wasn't doing what he wanted him to do, because he told him, no, you lost. And Trump didn't want to hear that, apparently. So he fired him and hired a new guy that would say, yeah, you won, etc. Oddly, just the other day, Bill Barr said he would still actually vote for Trump rather than Biden, because as far as he's concerned, Biden's administration is what would destroy our democracy. So, so how do you be objective, in a situation like this? And of course, the March of Sin says what you've got to do is, of course, immerse yourself really in all the different sides and try to see things from their point of view. It talks about the moon and the sun, for example, saying, well, we're looking at the moon and the sun from here. They both look about the same size. But if you were on the moon would obviously look much bigger than the sun, and so on. So a pretty blatant way of talking about how the perspective a person has from their position, as well as their cultural point of view, etc., is going to be so different. Now, when we look at the college situation right now with all the students that are protesting things that are going on, we've got protests from both sides. I think it's pretty clear there's both sides. Nobody is standing there saying, go back and study. You don't know what you're talking about. That would be another side. I would think, you should, get in there, we're loaded with that kind of thing. And a lot of that is, of course, thanks to the social media, how we silo ourselves into different, I don't know about you, but I have 4 siblings, and 2 of those siblings won't talk to one another because they're such opposites as far as political points of view. I'm fortunate that I've been able to continue talking to both of them, mostly just the one, but even my wife, when she goes on the Facebook and she gets links, those posts that he sends are such radically to the right that my wife is like, why are we getting... So, even within families, we have folks that silo, and I don't know if you've had the pleasure of arguing with a sibling that believes totally different things than you. That's very frustrating, because it seems so clear to you, and yet it seems so clear to them, and the points of view are so radically different. So, Amartya Sen, the idea of justice. How on earth do we handle justice when we have such wide points of view over things? And it's not at all clear to me that really trying to see things from both sides is going to be that much of a help. Who else is out there? Martha Nussbaum. I don't know if I've remember earlier in the semester saying that I thought she was the sexiest philosopher there was out there. That was kind of funny, I thought, but folks are going to laugh at that. But you can look at videos, of course.
Betray enough of an understanding of what human beings are like, what makes them care intensely about something. And so I wanted to tackle the problem in a Rawlsian spirit, but with a richer, I hope, account of human emotion. So,
Rawlsian, remember we talked about John Rawls and his various books. That if you go to law school, you'll be studying John Rawls' Theory of Justice. So Rawlsian is her.
The question is, what makes people want to support political principles that require sacrifice of self-interest and that require them to treat other people as equals, not marginalizing them or stigmatizing them? So we have a lot of problems on our plate. And I'm imagining throughout that we're not exactly in Rawls's well-ordered society, but pretty close, that we have good political principles embodied in some sort of constitutional framework, written or unwritten. And so the problem is how to make that more fully realized, strive to implement it more fully, but then also how to render it stable over time. And I guess I would add that my motivation in my own political context was seeing how the admirable commitments of the New Deal and to an extent also the war on poverty have just kind of gone down the drain in America because there's no will in the electorate to sustain those. So how did that happen? How did that fail? And of course, in a democracy, you've got to do what people want to do, and so the people have to want to do things that are noble. So that's what I was puzzling about.
So Martha Nussbaum, as far as I know, she's still teaching in the University of Chicago. Double check. Department of Philosophy, it looks like she's still there. She was born Martha Craven. See, she's written lots of books. Her name is Nussbaum because she married Alan. Kyoto Prize. I think I mentioned Quine won the Kyoto Prize. Bruno Latour won the Kyoto Prize. It's kind of, if you go there and you look at that site and you try to figure out who, at least do the Japanese think are significant in scholarship and philosophy and science. The Kyoto Prize is not just for philosophers, it's for whatever impresses the Japanese that year. So she's still there, as far as I can tell. And she's doing all kinds of. Speaking of sex, I should mention Judith Butler. So whenever someone does a term paper on Judith Butler, I have to be very careful that taking Judith Butler's lead, that I refer to Judith Butler as Judith Butler or as they, them. I don't know if you've had that experience, but grammatically it's quite difficult to restrain yourself into that pronoun. What pronouns do you use for yourself? That kind of issue. In Gender Trouble, I think was the name of the book, she talks about gender being performative. So it's not based on your biological sex, but instead on the roles you play, especially linguistically, how you kind of perform who you are, the role you play and it's not like you're trapped into just one role. From one moment to the next, you can actually switch your gender following the way they explain it. So that's kind of fun. It's quite interesting and rather famous. Gender Trouble. I don't know how you can have to figure out how on earth you're going to have 450 different genders. It's kind of different than most people think. So that's Judith Butler. Who else? Can't think of anyone else right now at the moment. There's tons of people out there, though. Oh, I know some more French. How about Obituary? I hope not. He's way too young. So he's another one. Okay, so he's still alive. He's a millionaire. People have asked him why does he have his shirt open, and he doesn't open it just to here. He opens it like all the way down to his belly button. And he responded once to someone who said, "Why do you have your shirt open like that?" He says, "Because I am so hot." I don't know what he meant by that. That could be taken in multiple ways. But he was kind of the advice to one of the French presidents that encouraged them to attack Libya. So there's a lot of political association with him. He's considered to have spurred France on to doing certain things of a warlike nature. So interesting, but he does have several books out that are interesting, and it's very readable. He's writing for the public, not for a very specific small scholarly group. So he's interesting. Another one, a French philosopher that's not essentially considered a philosopher, is Emmanuel Todd. And he, I especially discovered as pretty interesting once the French magazine was attacked. Do you remember Charlie Hebdo, the magazine? There was a French magazine that, yes, you remember? His book, Who's Charlie, was really a critique of the French leadership at the time, because they all want, in fact, I believe Obama was part of this, walking down the Champs-Élysées with a big sign, "We are Charlie." And the question was, well, who's Charlie? And the reference was to Charlie Hebdo, the magazine. Which was kind of like a nasty magazine, satirical they call it, satirical weekly news. They basically make fun and insult everybody. But one particular issue insulted Muslims. And they had a drawing contest. Who could draw Muhammad. And many people submitted their drawings, and then they published the favorites. And of course, drawing the image of Muhammad is considered by many Islamists to be anathema or heresy, or whatever the right word is in Arabic, haram, I guess. And so they, a few terrorists literally just went and shot up the editorial board when they were in the middle of a meeting and killed quite a few of them. 3 terrorist attacks, 2011, 2015, 2020, all of them were presumed to be in response to a number of cartoons that published, controversial, depicting Muhammad. 12 people were killed, etc.